Now,
All right.
let's get into it.
It is so great to have you here with us, Linda. Thank you. You know, folks, we have been working with several people on a new story map for the Chad and Lori Daybell case, and we wanted to just take a few minutes and reveal that to you. You'll find below the links to get to the story map and to be able to research some of the information yourself on that. But it is a compilation of a collaborative effort between Profiling Evil, It's a Crime, and Linda, and Annielytics, Annie Cushing, and our friends at Websleuths, Tricia, and of course, Nettie and Jackie, who worked on helping us provide this data and bringing it together. Chris, our thought was pretty simple, and that was to just try to get all of the smartest minds around us that have been looking at this case and bring it all into one place.
Yeah, and we could think of nobody better to have on this particular program than Linda. I mean, she has invested a lot, as well as some of the other folks that we've mentioned, but Linda's really got her mind wrapped around this case. And
so I mean, from the very beginning, Linda, when we first came to know you, and this case was, of course, really in the public eye, you were spending a lot of time talking about this case. And how many hours have you spent looking at this case alone?
I mean, absolute hundreds. I can't even put a number on it, because each video that I do, the deeper I go, the more hours. A half an hour to an hour video can take me anywhere from 1 to 3 days just to gather, look, go to sleep and wake up and have the next connecting the dots, and just hundreds of hours. I think I put in 77 or 78 videos or something to that effect just in Lori Vallow.
That's amazing. Well, folks, this is a compilation of a lot of people's work. We have been looking at this case from the onset, and we just thought we would break it down in a way that maybe helps you, because for me, it was really a four-legged stool trying to figure out all these different wild components to this case and to put it all into something that made sense. And so what we did is we went back and we looked at it in separate kinds of buckets in hopes that it would help you. We talk about Lori in one section where we focus entirely on her and her marriages. We talk about all 5 husbands, and I got corrected, I think, for saying 5 husbands, but there were 5 husbands, and we list all of those out. And you'll find as you go into this story map, one of the fun things about building a story map is it gives you a chance as the viewer to go in and really explore data. So you can go in and work on the map. You can collect information out of it, see what information's contained within it. It just makes it a really simple way to kind of look at it from a geographic perspective. And I don't know, Linda, how have you felt about being able to look at things geographically in addition to just all this tabular information that we get?
I love that. One of the things is naturally when I put things together, I always go to the map. I kind of look at things, where's what. So this is incredible. To me, this is a fantastic resource, even just to have it visually and see where everything's, all the dots on the map. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. And Chris, I mean, when we're doing a really complex criminal case like this is, it becomes really difficult to keep all the pieces and parts in order. Breaking this out into segments where we talk about each individual, how does that help us in the investigative phase?
Yeah, so that obviously it structures the mind to move the investigation from step to step, piece to piece. And obviously, as you know, Mike, you take butcher paper and we used to put it up in what they call the war room, remember?
Yeah.
And we break it down, and then we start segmenting those pieces out in the 10 filters of profiling. And so you'd have 10 pages. And then of course, you have a geographic profile here. And then things start making sense, and you're able to, basically put the most energy in the most important pieces of the puzzle initially.
Yeah. Well, in this, folks, what we did is we broke down and looked at Lori a little bit. We spent some time looking at Chad and his relationship with Tammy. We look at their marriage and how things came to a close in their marriage. We then talk about how this group of people start to come together with all these other individuals. So this period of time, Linda, when they're kind of building this organization around him, why is it so important that we understand also the behavior and perhaps the motivation for what they're doing when we look at a case like this?
I think it's so complex. You have to segment, you have to look here and there, and then you start tying it together. One of the questions that Chris was asking me a while back, why did I go and look into Charles Vallow at that point? It's like you look at here and then you start going, let's go back here, let's go back here, let's go back here. And just even recently, you really get a feel of just not just how complex, because we know it's complex, but just how connected each story really is, in my opinion. So
yeah, that's interesting.
It's very important to understand the hub and then start branching. And now with the recent news of Joseph Ryan and that, and really starting to go, maybe we should take a look further back. And then once we find that, maybe we should go another step further back. So yeah, it's just so critical to go into these different little spider legs.
Yeah.
And look at it and then connect.
Yeah, that's amazing. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Chris. Sorry, please.
No, that's amazing. You have done an exceptional job on that. I mean, Mike and I, took notice of that immediately and started, tracking where you were tracking, and we kind of added some other dynamics, from the investigative behavioral side, So that's a good point. Yeah, you're right on target. Go ahead, Mike.
One of the things that we were really interested in, and there hasn't been a lot of discussion on that, was information around Lori's sister and Stacy Lynn Cox, who eventually became Stacy Cope. And the things that were so intriguing to us is just kind of how her life unfolded, how it came to an end, and some of the similarities we were seeing in behaviors between Stacy and Lori and frankly other members of the family. What stood out to you in this, Linda?
Now forgive me because it's been a while since I looked in, but there's a few things. Obviously, she died at a young age. They talked a little bit about Stacy's daughter, Melanie, and some things surrounding her behaviors as a child. I know Stacy was in a relationship as well, and that went sour. So there is a few things. I know I'll let you speak to it because right before we went on here, you were talking a little bit more of her history medically, but.
Yeah, and that's interesting because, Chris, some of the things you and I explored were some of the mental illness claims that came out in this petition as part of her husband trying to keep custody of their child. And it clearly spells out that there was some schizophrenia in the family, which really causes us to also consider if that schizophrenia, which existed not only in Stacy, but her father, could exist to some level in Lori. And what I found in my career after studying cult leaders, and I've spent a lot of time looking at cult leaders, is that many of them could be diagnosed as being schizophrenic. And it's a schizophrenic personality type that actually feels like they're godlike or they are God. And we certainly see some of those things in the behaviors that we read about publicly about Lori. Chris, I don't know, what were your thoughts as we talked through those things?
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Mike. I mean, are some of those characteristics, playing into is she organized or a disorganized offender, even at that point, right? I mean, and how many pieces of her mental stability, measures out into her behavior in relationship to the crime. Is she able to connect some of those dots? Is she able to make rational decisions in relationship to how the public looks, meaning, society looks at some of the things that she does. So yeah, good point. I mean, at some point, they're going to sit her in front of like Park Dietz or somebody to that effect, forensic psychologist who's going to weigh her out and say, well, she was or she wasn't, but absolutely, it could play big. Yeah.
Well, folks, we hope you'll continue to explore this story map and maybe learn a little bit. I'm going to jump ahead where you look at Charles Vallow, and you'll see what led up to his death. You'll see how Chris and I tear that case apart and look at what to us were really big red flags, how Alex Cox plays into the picture from beginning to end. And most recently, how we've learned about how Joseph Ryan has played into the picture as we go back, not only in things that we've explored at Profiling Evil, but Linda, you most recently explored some really interesting things about Joseph Ryan as well.
Yeah, I mean, here again, this is what I was saying about going to the hub and then start branching off. I held off on Joseph Ryan. I was going into Charles. And then with this recent news or the recent release of the recording from Annie Cushing, Joseph's sister and Tylee's aunt, we see that Lori's making some pretty bold claims and bold statements. And she has a pattern. And what I say in my video is, look, we know she's vindictive. She's proven that time and time and many examples. But I also think there's a punishment with that vindictiveness. People are punished for what they did to Lori, in Lori's mind. And so on the first get-go, when you see, Joseph died, he's in his room and they find him and he has history of heart disease and alcoholism and these kinds of things, and he's taking the medication he does, the first crack, it's like, okay, this, natural causes. But you got to start looking at, wait a minute, the timeline, the method in which they die, or the manner, maybe not so natural, maybe it is. That window was open. You got to look at that now, in my opinion. So, and Annie said it, she always felt like there's something going on, that maybe it happened. And here's one of the things that I bring up. Alex Cox, who stun gunned Joseph, as we know, why would he just stop, right? He's not going to just stop. He went after with a stun gun. Even in jail, he's like, let's get this guy. Let's go up. Like, he's still ready to go. All of a sudden, he's backed off. Like, I don't know. It's just, the pattern is Alex. It's also Chad. I believe that they need to see his data if they can. I don't even know. Can I go back to that data and see if he was there? I'm going to start looking into that. And I'm also going to start going backwards some more. But it's crucial.
Yeah, this is such a compelling case. And folks, as you explore the story map, you'll see more about Tylee and JJ, and we'll see about what's happening in court. It'll give you a chance to really view some of the things that are going on in this really wacky case. We will continue to look at this together. We'll continue to look at it independently. And I suspect 2021, as we move into the trials, is going to be really an interesting time. I think we're going to hear a lot of amazing things. A quick go around. Linda, anything you want to add?
I'm going to add that, or let's do a little forecast for 2021. I think the murder charges will come. I think it's just a matter of time. That's in my opinion.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, we've been projecting since Tempe that more is to come, and that what's happening in Idaho, as horrid as it is just the prelude. Yeah,
I agree. And I think we had even a bingo number on the PD back there that things were going to be coming. So it's great to work with Linda, though, on this one. This is
it is. And to Tricia and her team at Websleuths, we're so appreciative. Folks, please make sure you're looking at Websleuths and It's a Crime. And of course, to our friend Annie Cushing, who we had on the show just recently, who has really worked so diligently to help bring her brother's case to light. We salute. And to all of you, thanks for watching and keeping track of this case. We'll continue to do our part. Have a good evening.